Hi guys, it's Tiff Day and this is Closet Talks. Today, you are enough. Hey cutie heads, it's Tiff here with Closet Talks and I am so excited because today I have with me Stephanie.
Hi.
She is my therapist and counselor and she's made the biggest difference in my life. And going back to my platform and what today is, mental health is so important. It's important in taking care of ourselves. It's important when we're looking at other people. But especially right now with this pandemic, things are crazy.
Yes, they are.
I think it's taken people in just a completely different mental state.
For sure.
Anyway, so she is going to share her knowledge and kind of what she does. And then I'm going to share a little bit about like how I met her, kind of my experience with you. But I'd love for you to just tell everyone a little bit about Stephanie.
Okay. Let's see where to begin. I was in a really bad marriage for 11 years and ended up going through a divorce and figured out that I needed to be able to support my kids because their dad was not in the picture and was not going to do it. So I thought, if I'm going to spend this much time away from my kids, it better be on something that matters.
I love that.
And so I started going to school to become a therapist. And, one class at a time, one day at a time.
And you did it all as a single mom.
Yeah, I did. I had a lot of support from my parents, which I could not have done it without them. And then the last little bit of my schooling, I did get remarried. And so the last little bit of my schooling, my husband was a really great support. So, yeah.
Your story to me, it gives me hope.
Aww.
And it's inspiring because you went from a really bad place to you're kicking ass right now.
Yes.
Let's be honest. You guys, so I started with her. You were at, what was the name? Thank you for subscribing. Okay, we're not saying a name, but we started at this place, okay? And from this place, she left.
Yeah.
At another facility.
Yes.
But because she is a rock star, she came to my home.
Yes.
And we had our personal therapy visits, which were amazing. But let's backtrack a minute because I'm going to be really honest with all of you. And I've given her full permission to share my story with all of you because I think it's helpful and I think it's really beneficial for you guys to understand the need for therapy in your life.
Right.
And maybe before that story, anyone can benefit.
Absolutely. I go to therapy. I'm a therapist and I go to therapy because you always need somebody to help you walk through the journey of life, right? If you're too close to the situation, it gets really muddy and foggy and messy. And it's helpful to have somebody else who's an outsider to your life, but genuinely cares about you as a person to help you negotiate all of that yuck that we've got to go through.
Now, would you say by this age you should go, or do you say wait until this circumstance arises? Just because there's so many things out there, what do you suggest?
Right. So I really think the world could change if people started doing preventative mental health care, meaning going to therapy and learning these skills and tools when they're little, 5.
Okay, can I just say something really fast? I love that because do we go to well checkups when we have little babies and they start them when they're newborns?
Yep.
And they have preventative well checks continuously throughout life. Mm-hmm. Do we do that with mental? Why?
Exactly.
Why not?
Exactly. Well, I think one of the big barriers that we face is access to care and access to funding for care. Because in our country, not everybody has health insurance and not everybody has the monetary means to just cash pay for therapy. It's a huge disservice that we do to ourselves and to our society to not support that.
And it's crazy to me. I've thought a lot about this because I do have a couple of children that have gone to counseling, and some that, yes, they've gone to her because she's so good. Anyway, but I feel like your mental health, what's the difference between getting the flu, cancer, and I'm not trying to make light of any disease or any sickness,
Right.
but why isn't mental health, why isn't it more of a priority? Because it really rules your life.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you know this, but they have found in the entire world, most of the people who are on disability, unable to hold a job, is because of anxiety and depression. It's not because of a physical illness. So if you don't think it doesn't matter, that's a pretty clear and cut and dry thing that shows that it does matter.
It does matter. Like, I know within my own family, within my kids, within my friend group, numerous people that deal with anxiety or depression.
Mm-hmm.
That is almost just a normal, normal thing. In my own family, like, my mom growing up, she had mental illness, and we've talked about this, and like, just anyway, it's very prevalent.
Absolutely.
And it needs to be talked about. It's not taboo.
No. And I think people think if you get labeled with some kind of diagnosis that defines you, and that does not have to define you at all. And there are some things that you can heal and grow and move through and are no longer an issue for you. Now, with something like bipolar, something where there's an organic component to it, that's not going to be the case, but you can still have huge improvement in your quality of life, in your relationships, in your daily functioning, all through utilizing therapy.
Well, it's better to know, to know what help you need,
right?
To know how, or the tools in your tool belt, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
to actually be able to take care of whatever's going on.
Right.
Mentally.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, sorry for that little tangent. I seem to do that really well, you guys. But back to like how I met you, kind of my road, my process with you.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought therapy and counseling was taboo.
Yeah,
So the thought of it was crazy. But I started having issues right before my marriage ended, and we decided to do some counseling, and I totally got hooked.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem. You can go to a lot of counselors. I think you have to find the right fit.
Absolutely.
And you have to find someone that understands you, someone that you vibe with.
Yes. Someone
that, I don't want to say relates, but like knows their stuff, because there were a lot that I went to that would be like, here's a book, read it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to cut it for me.
Right.
Or they'll listen to you and be like, oh, good job, you're doing great.
Yeah.
Like, you need someone to push you.
Yes.
Like, coming to you was not fun.
No,
I love you. I love you, but it was not fun.
Yeah, it's not. And I'm finding, as I've been in the field longer and longer, I am a very different type of a counselor. I do challenge my clients. I do push my clients.
She does.
But first, and most importantly, we build a relationship of mutual respect and love.
Yes.
And I do not push until that foundation is there. And I understand how nerve-wracking it can be to bare your stuff to somebody, because I sit on that couch too.
Yes.
And so I treat that with the utmost honor and respect. I really feel like the job that I do is sacred, and that is how I want my clients to feel too.
Oh, she's amazing, and that's it. Okay. So I was having these issues. I get a divorce, okay? I'm kind of in the depths of hell. I'm broken. I come into her, and I sit down. I think I was a deer in the headlights.
Yeah, you kind of were.
I was like, I don't even know where to start.
Yep. Which is very common. Most people don't, especially if they've never done therapy, or they've done therapy and had negative experiences with it.
Or not been pushed. Like,
right.
Again, everything was like, I don't want to say easy, but it kind of was easy. Or it was like, here, take care of yourself. I didn't know how to take care of myself. I didn't know how to take care of myself mentally.
Yeah.
So anyway, I go into her, and it's serious business. But we did build a really great relationship.
Yeah.
she was a safe place for me.
Yeah.
And you heard it all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was very, very broken. And I look back now, I look at myself now, and I look back to
You're
that.
like, it's totally different person.
Just tell me how different it was.
Oh my gosh, night and day. You were like a shell of a woman when you first came in, and just so defeated and broken and lonely and didn't know who you were. I think that's the biggest piece for me. You so know who you are now, and that's been so beautiful to watch that unfold on this journey with you.
Oh, again, not easy.
Yeah. Oh, lots and lots of hard work.
How many times did I sit on your couch and cry?
I don't know.
We can't count.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes I would go in and she would have a tissue box out because I think you could tell when I walked in what kind of therapy session it was going to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, she could read me. She understood me. So, funny enough, we're sitting in my closet.
Mm-hmm.
Can I tell you guys how many times over this pandemic I've called her on the cell phone from this closet?
Yes. And now I'm here.
And now she's here and I'm sharing her with you and I love it so much.
Yes.
So, anyway, it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
It's scary to start.
Yeah, it is.
It's scary to dig into who you are and to some of those, like, we really dug in. Like, we dug into some deep-seated, yucky things. And I remember you telling me, I remember this so vividly, that, hey, Tiff, like, you're going to go home and you're going to be tired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or when this stuff all starts coming out, you're going to feel yucky.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Can you just talk about that a little bit so people understand?
Yes. So I always tell people when they first come to see me, well, there's a couple of things. One, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that is okay with me.
But I'm glad you're mine.
Yes,
okay,
I am
sorry.
too. I would rather help people find the right therapist than to have them just stay with me because they saw my name on a website or heard it from a friend or a family member. It's more important that you, like you said, that you mesh well and jive well with your therapist. That is 90% of whether or not your therapy is going to be successful.
Agreed.
So it's super important. The other thing that I tell people is the truth is it's going to get worse before it gets better. When it gets worse, that is not the time to quit. That's the time to push through. And I will support you and I will help you with tools to get you through that stuff. But if you quit at that spot, you're going to be left, I think in some cases, worse off than when people started.
Yeah, or like stuck.
Yes.
Like you get stuck.
Yes, absolutely. And you're right. When you're processing stuff that's emotional and mental, that takes a physical toll on your body. And I think a lot of people don't understand how significant that can be. And so it's really important prior to processing that really deep-rooted stuff to learn self-care skills. Like I know you're sharing with people.
I love this because this is what I learned from her.
Yeah.
I didn't do that before.
Yeah. So self-care skills, it's like that thing they always say on the airplane where if the masks drop down, you have to put yours on first before the person next to you.
Guess what? I said that in my first episode.
Did you? You're so brilliant.
Oh, I love you. Okay.
Yes. So it's very important. And I think if you have kids and you have not done any type of therapy and dealt with your stuff, you are going to negatively impact your kids.
Agreed.
Now, the truth is we're all human. Just so you all know, I have kids. I have 4. My oldest is 21 and my youngest is 12. And so I've been through the whole parenting thing. I'm still in it, but it's getting easier because they're getting older. And I've always said to them, look, I'm not perfect. I know you're going to have to go to therapy for some reason. I'm just going to try and make sure it's a smaller reason because we're not perfect.
We're not. And I mean, we're doing our best. And especially if you're mindful.
Yeah.
If you're doing your best to be the best version of who you are, you're being mentally healthy in the best ways that you can, then obviously, like, you're giving the best to your kids or to the people around you. And
Yeah.
we wish we were perfect.
Right. That would be nice.
That'd be awesome. Then we wouldn't have therapy or doctors or anything.
I think life
right?
might be boring, though,
It'd be boring. No, there's so many, like, I feel like I've learned so much. So many coping mechanisms. So many, like, okay, so I have to tell you, when I did go to Stephanie, we started with talking, but we also did some different therapies as well. So I don't know if you want to tell people about the different...
Sure.
Okay.
So I am not a one-size-fits-all type of therapist. I really try and treat people holistically and tailor their treatment for them specifically. So the first part of therapy is really kind of a lot of boring information gathering, but for me that's valuable information because it helps me know how to create an effective plan to then walk you through the things that you need to walk through. And I do different types of therapy. I do some art therapy. I do trauma-informed therapy, which means all of the therapy that I do brings in the knowledge that trauma affects people. So whether we're dealing with a substance misuse issue or depression or a family issue, trauma always is a factor because if you're human, you have trauma. Different degrees of trauma, but you have trauma and it shapes you. And so all of my therapies keep that in mind. And then I'm trained in a special kind of therapy called Emdr, and it's to help process trauma without having to verbally talk about all of the nitty-gritty of your trauma because that can actually be re-traumatizing. And so that's a big one. I also am trained in harm reduction therapy. So regarding substance misuse, and it doesn't have to just be substances. It can be shopping addiction, porn addiction, video game addiction. Doesn't matter what the addiction is because the root of it is all the same. I practice what's called harm reduction, meaning we do not go for just abstinence only right off the bat. We start with wherever somebody's at because that's a coping skill, right? It's not a healthy coping skill, but it is a coping skill. And so I don't want to rip that away from somebody without making sure that they have the tools to handle life without that coping skill. So we work on building up coping skills at the same time decreasing the harmful behavior, but not from here to cold turkey. Like it's a step at a time. It's a day at a time. And for some people, depending on what they are struggling with, so like with substance misuse, a lot of times people say, well, if you have a problem with alcohol, then you shouldn't use nicotine or caffeine. Well, it's not my place to judge what you put in your body. That is not my job. My job is to support you in being the healthiest version of yourself and helping you create a life that you feel good about. And sometimes that means for some people, if they're like, I have a current client I'm working with who struggles with meth, but he can socially have a drink at his sister's wedding and not fall apart, right?
Right.
But with substance misuse, lots of people tend to think it's all or nothing. And that's really with life. People kind of tend to think it's all or nothing.
True. Like, people don't understand that regardless of a situation, regardless of a hard time, regardless of a joyous time, you don't just go from point A to point B in the snap of a fingers. Like, it is a process. It's a journey. And I would say she's very good at making sure that you take care of yourself.
Yes.
Like, I don't know how many times you'd be like, what did you do to take care of yourself today? And I'd be like, oh my goodness. It was something I wasn't used to. And I don't think a lot of people even realize how important that is.
No.
So patience with yourself.
Yes. So I think with self-care, it's physical, it's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual, it's everything. And
it's my platform.
It is.
Okay, thanks for touching on that.
Glad to help out. So yeah, like Tiff's been sharing with you guys, like it's super important to take care of your physical body. And you know, I struggle with that myself. Like I do not by any means have all the answers or know everything, but what I can do is help somebody walk through their journey. And taking care of yourself physically, so what you put in your body, food, how you move your body, exercise, but also the media you consume. That's a big one that really affects people's mental health. And I don't think we tend to think about that a whole lot, as well as your physical health. And so it's mental, it's spiritual, and I don't push any kind of religion.
Which I love about you.
I respect any belief system. I can work with any belief system. Obviously, I have my own belief system, but that's my belief system, and yours is you. And I help people figure out what their belief systems are. And lots of times they're not the same as mine, but that doesn't matter.
We didn't have the same one.
No, not at all.
Totally, you guys, love her still. I do.
Yes. Well, I love you too. And I think it's about, especially now, especially with where our country is right now, people need to learn how to tolerate and respect and honor other people's points of view. Thank you.
You just nailed, I think, such an important topic that's going on in our world right now.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest thing is see people for who they are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying you need to fit in a box. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you need to be part of this group. I'm not saying you need to have this skin color. I'm not saying none of that.
Yeah.
Like, let people be people.
Right.
Love them.
Right. Absolutely.
No judgment.
Yes. Yes.
If we could do that, would our world be like a different place?
Absolutely. I can't even, that's what we need, but.
That is what we need.
Yeah. Yeah. So I try and help with my little circle, my little part of the world, affect that kind of change. But, yeah, it's very much needed.
It is needed. And again, you guys, she does everything based on you as an individual, not, I've seen this problem before, so this is what I'm going to do. You really, you take the time to get to know someone. You take the time to understand their family life and their kids' situation or their, romantic relationships or friendships. I mean, we talked about everything.
Yes.
Everything.
Well, everything affects your mental health. And so to just address one or two areas, that's not effective. And when I said I treat people holistically, I really do. So a lot of people don't know, but if you're struggling with depression, it can often indicate that you have a vitamin deficiency. For men, a lack of energy combined with depression can indicate you have low testosterone. And so when I work with people, part of our process is helping them find a doctor and get a checkup and see where all those levels are at and make sure there isn't an underlying physiological.
You try to say
Yeah,
it.
you're going to have to edit that.
No, I'm saying, hey, everyone out there, you try to say it.
Physiological, yes.
Okay.
Issue that's contributing to the mental health issues, because the mind, body, spirit connection is it's relevant, you know? And again, with the spiritual stuff too, I don't push any belief system on anybody, but they've done studies, and there are two specific things that they've found that are across the board indicators of whether or not somebody is going to be happy.
Okay. And
one of those things is the quality of their relationships, which is why, and it's relationship with yourself, relationship with family and friends, and a relationship with either a higher power or some type of meaning and purpose.
Love that.
And so we do a lot of work. It's not just, I don't just help people heal the past. I help them, I support them in the present, and I help them create a future that they can be excited about.
Honestly, okay, just from my experience, she helped me heal a lot of my past because I had some issues, helped me deal with my divorce, helped me learn how to set boundaries for myself with an ex that's difficult to deal with kids that are struggling and didn't. I never had boundaries before, so we were all learning. But she also saw all my post-divorce dating stuff and helped me set boundaries.
Yeah.
Helped me understand a lot of things, which, I've been put in different situations post-divorce that I don't know if I would have handled myself or come out of it as quick or as well as I did without the tools that I learned.
Yeah. And that's where I have the benefit of my personal experience, not just my professional experience.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of people who go through divorces and then they've been in relationships for a really long time and they go to enter this new world of dating and it's totally different. Apps and online and super
I'm
scary.
having a whole episode on that because it is weird business.
It is. And you have to be smart and you have to be educated about it so you can protect yourself and make wise choices and not get into a situation that is even further damaging.
Truth. And it's not just about like post-divorce. You probably see some people that are in a marriage that is struggling or maybe they're unhappy or so really like it's not just for people like me, guys.
No.
It's like really and truly for everyone.
Yeah. And I think one of my favorite types of therapy is when I get to work with a whole family because to be able to affect change in a whole family system is so amazing, and to be able to influence and help people have better relationships, better quality of life, and happier futures is so rewarding. And so, it doesn't mean that your life has to be falling apart.
No.
Like, you can be doing okay, but therapy can help you do even better.
It enhances.
Yes. Absolutely.
And for me, honestly, just having all the tools in my tool belt, because you guys, you don't know what's coming your way.
Yeah.
You have no idea, but being equipped and ready and maybe mindful and knowing who you are,
Absolutely.
Understanding how you function, you're kind of ahead of the game.
Yes, for sure. And I think just that piece of self-knowledge and self-acceptance, there's no opportunity, at least that I can think of, maybe you can think of one, but there's no opportunity I can think of that is structured space for our personality development.
I don't think so.
And I think therapy allows you to strip away all the expectations of your parents and society and anybody who's influenced you, even institutions, it strips it. You can strip all of that away and get down to who you really are, because I think a lot of us move through life not having a clue who we are, because we're doing what everybody's told us to do, what we should do, and there's no room to figure out who we are and what we're meant to do.
I love that, because even if you strip everything away, maybe you were raised a certain way. Maybe in school you were told you were a certain someone, or all these things happen. You strip it away. Maybe some of those things are you, but you need to figure that out for yourself.
Absolutely.
Okay, everyone really, please go to therapy. All right?
Yes.
You will be better off. I promise you. Will you have to deal with some hard stuff?
Yeah.
Will you feel miserable? Heck yeah, you will.
Yeah.
Will you seriously cry?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I always tell people, I have a lot of guys come sit in my office and they cry and they're like, I've never cried in front of a woman before. And I always tell people it's my superpower to make people cry. So
embrace it.
Yes. And what's wrong with tears? Nothing. They're healing.
Honestly, sometimes when I have a good cry, I'm like, oh, I feel so much better.
Right?
Yes!
It's a release of all of that.
Okay, but I have to tell you one thing she told me to do, and I love this, you guys. Do you remember you said find a good Netflix series that makes you feel?
Mm-hmm.
So I found Grey's Anatomy. Yes, I'm one of those gals that likes Grey's Anatomies, and I zipped through all the episodes. I found myself crying and connecting and relating to so many people.
Yeah.
But it also helped me really start remembering my emotions that I had buried.
Right. Right.
So that was the purpose, I guess, of that little...
Yes, because we get so used to just putting on our mask, going through our day, functioning in our world, appeasing everybody who's around us. And we have, in order to do that, we have to turn off parts of ourselves. And so sometimes it's really, really difficult to reach down deep and feel. Like feeling scary, right? When you haven't done it for so long. And I think a lot of people, and I know I went through this too, I literally, intellectually, I knew I had suppressed a lot of feelings during my former life. But I also knew that I needed to feel those things, but I was so afraid that it would literally kill me. I'm not exaggerating, or literally drive me insane. And I was going to end up in the psych ward or the state mental hospital for the rest of my life because the amount of pain that I had pushed down was so intense.
Yeah.
And to have my therapist say to me, look, I know you feel like this is going to kill you, but I wouldn't take you here if you couldn't handle it. It's not. You are strong enough to do this work. And that's kind of where we were at, the beginning part of that for you.
Oh, it was so hard.
It was. And you did it.
I did it. You guys, I did it. Yes. And I still do it.
Yes.
So don't ever think you have to stop.
Yeah, I think that's something also that is different in how I practice therapy. Now, there are other therapists who do this as well, but I'm not the type of therapist that thinks you should be in therapy the rest of your life indefinitely. I think therapy is for a time and a season. And just like you go in to get your oil changed and your car tuned up when the seasons change, therapy can be like that too, which you've experienced.
Yes.
Like sometimes you need a little tweak, a little adjustment, come in for a session or two, and then you're good for a while.
Yeah, because at the very beginning, I was in there 2 times a week. I was in there a lot. Yeah. I should have just slept over. I don't know. I was in there a lot. I was another child, too.
Well, there would have been other people with you in that camp, so...
Well, we could have just
slumber party.
Yes, we could have had a slumber party. That could have been fun. But then I got to where it was once a week. And then I really, it was a year and a half before I felt like, okay, I'm feeling more whole. I feel like I understand myself. And then different situations arise, like a dating situation, a family situation where I would be like, hey, I need to get in. Let's talk this out. Help me out. Get the right tools and back on the path I go. So, yeah, it's amazing. Please, again, you've got to go to therapy. But I really want you to tell us, what you're doing. You're opening your own stuff.
So I am starting my own private practice. It's called Emotional Health and Wellness.
I love this.
And I right now I'm going to start with just my own private little caseload, but eventually I want to have an agency that offers different forms of healing, not just therapy.
Oh, I love that.
So, we'll have therapists. We'll also have, energy healers, people who do Reiki, massage, acupuncture, yoga, the whole shebang. And because all of those things work so brilliantly together. And I would like to have a place where it's kind of a one-stop shop for all of that. Obviously, when things settle with the pandemic a little bit. Right. But that's my long-term goal.
Okay, that's a beautiful vision. And I think that's going to reach so many people. Yeah. I'm sold.
Okay.
I'm in.
Okay.
Let's
do it.
Let's do this. So, do you have a website, or should I just wait and publish that on when I
So I do have a website. It's not that extensive right now. We're still building it, but it's emotionalhealthandwellness.com.
Okay,
So
there you
pretty
go.
easy to figure out. And on Instagram, it's emotional_health_and_wellness.
And don't you worry, I'm going to put it on my social media.
Yes.
You're going to see exactly how to get to her.
Yeah.
I'm not going to leave you out in the cold because you've got to get to her.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for coming.
Oh, you're
She's
welcome.
coming back because I feel like, you guys, this is the tip of the iceberg when we talk about mental
For
health.
sure.
And please remember the importance of your mental health. Okay, it's just as important as your physical. It's going to help you tie into your emotional, your spiritual, everything.
Yeah.
This is a big ball that comes together to make one happy bouncy ball.
Yes.
In taking care of ourselves. And I want my bouncy ball to bounce real high. How about you?
Yeah. Sounds great to me.
So honestly, like, just be mindful of yourself and don't be afraid to reach out. It's not taboo. It's wonderful.
Oh, I did want to add one thing.
Please add.
So yes. So there are a lot of people, especially in the state we live in, I think, who really getting support for mental health issues is still taboo.
Mm-hmm.
And for that reason, I actually don't work with insurance companies. I only take private pay because I want people's anonymity to be protected. And even if I give you a diagnosis, which is just a cluster of symptoms, it's not a definition of a person.
Right.
But for a lot of people, they don't want that out being public knowledge, and even going through just their insurance companies. And so, just so you're aware, like, people's privacy is my utmost important focus.
I love
in that regard. So
yeah, just be confident in knowing that, you're not going to have like this stigma following you around, or you're not going to be stereotyped into this group. Like, just find out about yourself. Find out where you are mentally. Everyone needs a mental health check.
Oh, for sure.
And if you've never done it, you better get on my site and click on her. Do you understand me?
Come see me.
Really, just make sure you take care of yourselves. It's important, and mental health is an important part. But thank you again for being here.
It's my pleasure.
And she will be back, so don't worry. She'll be back. And please, you guys know how much I love you. I care about you. I want you to be happy, and this is an important part of it. And know that today you are enough. Thank you for subscribing.